And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Saturday mornings, flying weather graphics showing VFR from all of interior Alaska here out to the coast and beyond. IFR, St. Matthew Island, down across the Pribilofs, and then down over the eastern Aleutians. And some IFR here in the Gulf of Alaska that's going to stay off the coast. Southeast coast, all VFR. And for the afternoon, nothing but VFR, interior Alaska again. Maybe a little bit of marginal VFR trying to make its way onto the western, maybe the central Arctic coast there. Otherwise, good conditions all the way down into the Gulf of Alaska. Southeast coast, no change, VFR. And for the Bering Sea here, now we got the upper pattern here shifting eastward, allowing this front and the moisture to make its way across Nunivak Island. Should still be VFR even along the coast tomorrow, except for possibly Cape Newnam coming down in the afternoon. IFR for the Pribilofs, and IFR now moving into the western Alaska Peninsula. Marginal VFR, Adak westward. And for the morning, Sunday, huge area of IFR creeping eastward, covering much of the Yukon Delta and part of the Kuskokwim Delta. Also into the, starting along the Kuskokwim Mountains here down to Togiak Bay, staying just to the north of the Alaska Peninsula, and then a band here over the central Aleutians pushing toward Nikolsky. VFR, Arctic coast, down to the Gulf of Alaska and the Panhandle again. And taking a look at the afternoon, this area makes a jog into the western part of the state here, the IFR does, and the marginal VFR right up to the western Alaska Range, maybe getting over it a little bit there, possibly into western Cook Inlet. And southwest Kodiak Island, some IFR, eastern interior up to the Arctic coast stays VFR. North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, good VFR, right on down the southeast coast. Real good weekend coming up there, and the Aleutians here becoming VFR for Adak and Atka. And for passes, Hanatuvik and Adigan, both VFR for the Brooks Range, and the Alaska Range, Western Alaska Range, VFR. In fact, the entire Alaska Range will be VFR tomorrow. Lake Clark, Merrill, rainy, windy, and Isabel, as well as Mentasta, all VFR. And for the Manuska Valley, VFR conditions, especially through Tanita Pass. And for Portage, VFR, Chilkoot and White, VFR. Freezing levels here, down off the chart here, well south of mainland Alaska, even the Panhandle, down to the Queen Charlottes. But with the southerly flow here, ahead of that incoming system there, we've got 8,000 feet now farther to the east than it is today. It's more out over the central Aleutians. It'll be pushing into the Alaska Peninsula, 6,000 feet up to the Pribilof Islands. And with that, we could expect some icing here along in advance of the front, moderate rime icing. St. Lawrence Island along the southwest coast to the Alaska Peninsula, gradually pushing this far east by mid-afternoon tomorrow. A break, then some more icing out to the west. And from there, looking at the jet stream, again, we've got sharp upper level high here and good northerly flow, north to south flow here. The entire pattern slowly shifting eastward with time, and 100-knot southerly winds now into the eastern Bering Sea up across St. Lawrence Island. Again, northerlies 105 to 115 knots over the eastern interior, Prince William Sound down into the Gulf of Alaska, and lighter winds over the Panhandle. 9,000 feet, high pressure right through this area here. Northeast winds, 35 knots, Prince William Sound, Copper River Basin, Kenai Peninsula area, just east of Kodiak Island. And southwest flow here at about 35 knots, takes a turn to the north there at about 55 knots west of the Bering Strait. And then another system out here to the west, bringing stronger winds in out that way. And for 3,000 feet, southeast winds 50 knots here for the Alaska Peninsula, up to 60 knots out of the south, right along the southwest coast, turns southeast at 45 there, blowing across Nome. And narrow band of northerly winds tomorrow in Cook Inlet, maybe up to 35, 40 knots there. Otherwise light for the eastern interior, Gulf of Alaska, all the way up to the Arctic coast. And starting to pick these northeast winds up now over the Panhandle there. Northeast, well, actually they're already blowing today and they'll continue tomorrow, 45 knots. Turbulence, considerable moderate turbulence here. Got good mechanical turbulence for the Lynn Canal Glacier Bay Area, right on down to about Petersburg or Wrangell. The entire North Gulf Coast, portions of the Copper River Basin, especially the eastern Alaska Range. Here, Seward Peninsula, northwest coast into the west central interior, all the way to the Alaska Peninsula